Okay, hi guys, Jim Denham here. Had a couple of requests. I've been doing some transferring of some of my photographs onto TikTok videos, and I do this with use of Ken Burns cropping and things like that. Some people thought it looked cool, thought it might be good for me to make a video of how I do it. So that's what I'm doing now. Just want to put a disclaimer up here. I use iMovie. I have no idea how this works with anybody else's stuff. I've been using iMovie for 10 years. I'm not a video maker, so it's pretty basic what I do, but thought I'd throw it out there and show you, and maybe you can apply it to, anything that you're working with. So I'm in iMovie. I've clicked on Create a Movie, and now I'm going to import my media. And it just so happens I keep this stuff in this file, so it goes straight to it, and it'll take me a minute to find the file that I want. There it is. That's a shot from Tremont and Great Smoky Mountains. Now, this is going to seem silly, but this is the way I do it. I just load the one picture. It's a still image, it's not a video. And I will bring it down and set it in. Let me shrink this a little bit. This little settings bar over here will shrink the time down to where it's a little bit manageable. And what I'll do is I'll load this picture in 6 or 7 times. And it'll make sense at some point. But really, you're just putting the same image out there, but you're wanting to explore the image all the way around it first and then show the finished image at the end. And then what I'll do is I'll create transitions. And usually when I do this, I'll start off with a cross blur to start with. I just think it's kind of neat. And then I'll put dissolves in between all the different frames until we get to the end. And I'll show you how this looks when we get done. Right now it just seems kind of silly. But for the last one, I'll put a cross blur in to where it'll kind of feel like it's a kind of dramatic thing. But okay, once we've got all these loaded, right now it's loaded in as a landscape, aspect. But with TikTok, everything is looking like it's at your phone or in a vertical mode. So you want to convert it to that. iMovie doesn't allow you to convert it that easily, so there's a couple of steps involved. The first thing we want to do is we want to select all the frames, and then we'll go up to crop, and then over here on the right is a tilt. Rotate the clip clockwise. When you do that, it tips everything on its side. And so that way, there you can see it. It's all tipped on its side now. That way it'll fill the frame in a vertical mode. And then what I'll do is I'll grab each frame at a time. And I'll lengthen it out to about 6 seconds, roughly. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just 6 seconds. And then I'll click on it and click the crop again, and you'll see this Ken Burns part of it. What the Ken Burns does is it's a moving crop where you can set a start and a finish. And I'll take a corner, so being that it's already set up on here, this is my start box. I'll take a corner of the image and I'll set up the start from there, and then I'll move the finish just a little bit to where it'll slowly move through. And what we do is we can go over here and we can start this and then hit the space, get back here at the beginning, hit the space bar, and then you'll see it's moving from the top corner down. All right, that way you get a zoom in of that. Let me expand this a little bit. Hang on, and I'll expand it to the full frame. There you go. Now you can see it's coming from that top right to the set more toward the center, and you can see everything in it. Now, what I like to do with the next one is kind of do the opposite side. I'll lengthen the frame out, and then I'll go up here and click, and see it's already kind of doing that, but I'll shrink the start box and move it to the opposite corner, and then do the same thing here, is move it from the top to the center. And I'll start this in the middle. You'll see it starts from the top right, moves to the center, then goes to the top left, moves to the center. It's just a way of kind of making a video through your still image. And then I'll just continue to do that by lengthening out each one. And then this crop I'm going to take to the bottom corner and move it to the center, like so. And we'll get that on there, and you'll see the transition. See, this is the cross dissolve. It just kind of merges in. And then we'll get that corner. And then the next one. We'll go to the opposite corner. It already kind of starts that way. And we'll move it out. And then move this over. And shrink it down a little bit. Move it up just a hair, and then we'll see what that looks like when we transition. And then what I like to do with this one here, the fifth one, is I will start in the center and move out. So you get kind of the gist of what the main focus was. And you can move this, whoops, that's the end. I want the start. I want to move the start in. Shrink it down a little bit. All right, and then make the start bigger. And we'll see. Now we'll transition into that. That way we've got kind of the corners, and then the center will expand. And then what you can do is on these last two, before the finish, I want to just slide it all the way across. I'll show you how you do that. All right, on this one, we'll hit the start. We'll move it all the way to the right. This one, the end, we'll make it the same size, but we'll make it to where it goes to almost the center of the frame. See, like this. It'll just slide from the right frame to the middle. Completely. You get kind of a panoramic view of the image, and then we'll try to, the best we can, pick this one up in the same fashion. We'll start it more toward the middle. Whoops. And then the end will be at the end. So you can see how we do this. This is the frame before. It slides. This one should pick up roughly in the same middle. There you go. And you'll get kind of a total view of the entire frame. And then this last one, we'll run it out another 6 seconds. But we'll use this instead of the Ken Burns, we're going to hit fit, which will put just the entire image. Okay. And then at the very end, we're going to put a fade to black. Afterwards, we want to make sure, because sometimes when it puts those transitions in, it shortens the frames. Okay, that whole thing is just a little bit less than a minute, which is exactly where we want it. So here's what the video will look like tipped upside down. And you'll see the transitions. This is very cool. I mean, it takes you through a trip through the image, which is very cool, and I can control how I want that to be seen, which is pretty neat. And I think I'm going to adjust this center one. No, it's got the, I think I'm going to adjust that center one down a little bit so it gets more of the cascades in it and brings it out, but the color is just really beautiful, so I may just leave it. But it takes an entire minute to roll through there. And then bam, there's the finished. And then when I'm done there, I'll just hit projects. I'll give it a name. And this will be Tremont Bridge. That's where we took it. And there we go. And now my video is here. Now I got to save that to where I can bring it out. So I'll hit Share Project, File. And then I'll save it as 1080p because that's the best I can do. I'll save it as a best ProRes quality, and then save it compressed for better quality. Hit next, tell it where I want it to go, old vertical images, and there we go. And then we'll cut from that and as it saves. Next time we come back, we'll be in QuickTime. Okay, so I've gone to QuickTime Player and I've loaded that video that we exported, and you can see it's still in the landscape mode, and this is where you switch it and change it to a vertical. You go to Edit, Rotate Left, and it moves it and puts it in that vertical mode, and then you can look at your image the right way now, or the video, excuse me. And now you can start seeing that. And so we know it looks so much better in the vertical when you get it converted. So, all right, so we're good with that. And then we want to file, export as 1080p. And then what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to give it the same name to replace it, and because I won't use the other file. And now we have a vertical image of the vertical video of this image, and all I'll do from here is I will send that to my phone and I will export or pull that up into TikTok, at which point I will add music and then some verbiage on there, and I'll post it. And when I post it to TikTok, it actually saves that video to my phone, for which I can share it in Facebook and I can share it in Instagram. And there you go. My video of taking one image and adding some movement to it. It's very simple. It seems it's very redundant, but at least it makes an image a little bit more interesting. Hope you learned something from that. If you got any other questions, leave them down in the comments. I sure do appreciate it. Take it easy.